if you go back, look at, I think it's 12 years ago, in Greece, they announced this thing called austerity. And so what they said was, hey, you can't retire for another, I think it was 5 years. Why can't I retire for 5 years? I want to go sit on the corner and sip ouzo all day. You know, so, sorry. The government is El Broco, and we got a problem. And so you have to work 5 more years. And when you get there, you're only going to get, I think the first, they called it austerity, which is a fancy way of saying is we're paying you less than we promised. And I think the first austerity was 92%. So for every euro, $1 that a Greek person thought they were going to receive in monthly pension, they were only going to see from that state pension, not right, state. So that's their version of Social Security. Now they're only going to get 92 cents.
That's
and then it went down
8%. Huh? That's significant, 8% decrease.
Correct. And then it went down further from there. Then you saw everybody flip out. And it was very interesting to see. You had these 55-year-old people protesting alongside these 20-year-old people. And you're saying, why is everybody out there? Well, guess what? The 20-year-old people were saying, hey, I wanted to get, you found, by the way, this is how socialism works. It says, hey, I could get like 35,000 euros working at the post office. I want to go work at the post office. I can't get that job until my uncle retires, and he's earning 51,000 euros. So of all those years in career, it only went from 35 to 51, but people were settling for that. So I think that's settling for a rather meager existence, but you see what happened. You know, uncle can't retire for 5 more years, and when he does retire, he's going to get less. And the niece, the nephew, who are going to be perfectly happy working for the post office, now find out that that job won't be open for 5 years. And it's not that they didn't want to go hang out at the beach. Who wouldn't? But they were like, hey, I got to earn something to live because I want to party, I want to do all these things. And so that was 12 years ago in Greece. And everybody in the West goes, boy, I'm glad that was over. They were turning over cars, burning things, all kinds of things. Guess what? The same thing is happening in European countries. The same thing. It's like France is like every time you turn the clocks, every time you adjust the clocks, they have countrywide riots for the last 2 years. It's kind of an interesting thing. And part of it has been on, guess what? What did Macron say?
Jobs.
You're gonna work longer. And when you retire, there may be adjustment. Guess what? So, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear the following phrase, when you hear your government in the United States saying means testing, you know what that means? They're testing whether your mom and dad or your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, will have the means to pay for part of that Medicare themselves. So what they were promised will not just be 92%, it could be 0. I'm sorry, your aunt and uncle have an IRA with $800,000 in it that's now paying them an allowance because by law, not by law, but by regulation, after a certain age, your IRA and your 401k have to start paying you a monthly allowance. It's called mandatory withdrawals. I'm sorry, they were too responsible. They saved too much of their money. And therefore, they can pay for the Medicare by them flipping selves. That's called means testing. Instead, the grandparents are like, wait a minute. I've got a granddaughter in college. I was going to be the student loan for her. I was going to use the fruits of what I saved to get the Medicare I was promised, the Social Security I was promised, so I could then maybe help my niece, nephew, or granddaughter so they have no student loans. Now you're telling me I got to pay for my own retirement that you promised me? Boy, oh boy, meet you at the voting booth. Look out.
Obviously, you've been paying taxes that goes to the shared pool, which is Social Security and stuff like that. So you're basically being penalized for being efficient, being cost-effective, not wasting a lot of money, being a good
citizen,
being responsible. Simple as that. I mean,
sorry you were a good citizen. Sorry you were practical.
You should have been.
Screw you.
Yeah, you weren't splurging the money back then, so we're going to take it now. Like, it's just, it's unfortunate, and that's the way a lot of things are going, unfortunately. So it's definitely bad, because then what you're doing in the long run is you're penalizing good behavior, as opposed to kind of finding a way to weed out the bad behavior of somebody who's not responsible, somebody who's spending their money without saving it and stuff like that.
Totally.